Hey, it's the Chief, and I'm alive. This is like an impromptu, not quite impromptu, Chief's vlog. A lot going on, but I knew if I didn't get in and do one of these, that some might think I'm gone. I needed some of Vorpal's abuse, so hopefully he'll come on, even though he hasn't seen this part yet. Couple things we're going to talk about. I have played Napoleonics with Judd, and obviously they're all stickered. That took some time in and of itself, but that was okay too. We're going to talk about some of the pictures that a few fans sent. Unfortunately, I can't remember their names, but I got their photos showing the joy of gaming, which is really what Bonding with Board Games is about. Love my solo games, and there's plenty of joy there, but bringing people together is really the whole reason I did the show. So actually, I love the social connecting fabric of games in general. So we'll be talking a little bit about that. Hopefully some people will pop in, and I'll talk a little bit about my schedule. We will mention, since it's in the comments, Kevin Boylan. So he's reached out to me, and after I'd had my interview with Mark Herman, and of course Mark had referenced that the last days of Victory Games, I should talk to Kevin. And Kevin's got a lot going on, but we were able to work out the times for that. And unless something changes, which, hey, we're fluid, but the plan is June 26th at 10 a.m. 11 was a little problematic, and that is we're under daylight savings time here in Kansas. So that's 10 a.m. CDT. There's Vorpal. Already had a comment about you, Vorpal, but you weren't in yet. So you'll have to watch it later. Let's see, what is this? Who is this homeless guy on the screen? Yeah, I'm actually thinking about shaving this off. It's starting to irritate me now that it's warm. I don't think I minded it as much when it was cold out. And I've got my Tron Solo shirt. Love it. Ripped shirts. See if I can stay on screen. And this is a Evergreen Cougars. For anybody that grew up in the mountains, Colorado, they'll know where Evergreen is. And if you can see it, it may not show up. Class of 88. Hello. Hello, 88. All right. So, well, Vorpal, what is going on? Feel free to chime in. Checking my camera. Color looks pretty good there, I think. Kevin Boylan. So he'll be coming on, and he will talk about the last days of Victory Point Games and what was going on back then. Not Victory Point Games. Goodness, see, there I am going into modern times, although they went down too. Victory Games. So think Ambush. Think the Fleet series. What else was in there? Carrier. So all of those. Let's see, I'm doing nothing this Saturday afternoon, maybe watching movies. Very good. That's a good thing to do. So we'll see. We're watching Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, my wife and I. So I've got a book with Jimmy Stewart, and it's all about him flying B-24s in World War II and his career afterward. Yeah, Vorpal loves Ambush, you bet. You got you Vietnamesed it as well. You've got a whole Vietnamese Ambush, if I remember right. Or you would like that, one of the two. Magnus is in. Hello, Magnus. Good to see you from Sweden. Very nice. So, but went and watched. We are actually not done with it. We paused right after he just got gut punched by his fellow senator. What do they call him? The Silver Knight. I can't remember his real name. And got set up in a bad way. Still a great movie. You'd be surprised. I think it was like released in 1939. You would think it was released yesterday. So great movie if you want to watch that. And then, of course, every winter we watch. Oh shoot, what is it? What's his Christmas movie where he's running through town yelling and he thought about killing himself, but he doesn't. Oh, my goodness, It's a Wonderful Life. I think that's it. Yeah, Ron is now, what do they call you when you're from Ohio? An Ohioan? You're not a Coloradoan anymore. In Newark, Ohio. Wow, I would think Newark, New Jersey. But there you go. Of course, there's multiple Newarks. So, but an Ohioan. I think that's what you are now, Ron. So Ron has moved. Let's see. That's a classic movie. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. They are called the Buckeyes. There you go. That's right. That's right. There's a lot of Buckeyes. So if you get a chance, the book with Jimmy Stewart, I'm blanking on the title right now. I both have the, I picked up the soft cover at a used bookstore, and then it was also, I don't know if I still have it. Oh yeah, there we go. Robert Matson, and Mission, Jimmy Stewart and the Fight for Europe. So very, very cool. Great book. Goes into a lot of detail, and you get a little bit of detail from the command side because he was a squadron leader to start off with. He was training pilots stateside before they went over to Germany, and he was rated in both B-17s and B-24s. And in the book, it states that he actually liked the B-24 better. Of course, most of you guys know it held, I think, double the bomb load, a lot more fuel, better range, and it was bigger, and he was 6'4". So he appreciated the larger size of it as well. But I won't ruin the whole book by telling everything. Talks about flak happy or PTSD a little bit, and then him even coming back and the adjustments that were made. So it's a very well-rounded book, and it covers him not wanting to be a press magnet, just to do his job wise over there. So let's see. Yep, Jimmy was Jimmy Stewart, an Army Air Force general in World War II, not a general. He went in literally as like a private, I think just a private first class, I think. And then he had a degree and everything, so he moves up to second lieutenant. And his flight, he'd done a lot of pre-flight training because he wanted to fly. And then he passes everything, gets rated for heavies, and started instructing, and was a captain, I believe, when he went over. Managed to make major. He had a real cool deal. They wanted to make him major, but none of his other guys that were second, first lieutenants, and he refused his rank unless they were also raised in rank, which they then did. And then he made, I think he made lieutenant colonel while he was still over there, maybe even full bird colonel. And then he rotated into the reserves, and he made general, brigadier general, I think, which is a 1-star in the reserve. So it was very interesting to see some of that. Highest rank, yeah, brigadier general. Yep. So spot on. That's what he made. But very, very, very good. So what is this? Kalalka, that means carpool in ancient Babylonian. Perfect. Not sure if he reached that rank during the war or after. Yeah, that was after, is my understanding. I think he made full bird colonel. So, but, and then because he was squadron commander, he would just jump into different planes. And so he really knew a lot of the crew, or the different crews. And it got into the naming the planes and different things like that. So, good book. I commend it to you if you have not read it. So, let's see. What else we got here? Oh, I see we've got a lot. I don't know how. Ohayo in Japanese is good morning. I'm sure I did not pronounce it right because I'm terrible at pronunciation. Matt the Greek. I can't do Greek at all. So that is it. Let's see. We'll recap since I started early on, and then I'm going to share some pictures of the joy of gaming as well. But let me get on the right page here. Next Saturday, I'll have Kevin Boylan on, and he will be talking about the final days of Victory Games. So he worked for Victory Games. I'm not sure, I don't know a lot about the final days, so I'm going to learn as much as you guys do here. Mark Herman had referenced him when I interviewed Mark and talked about how he took over the helm and how everything went right up almost to the end. But Kevin's going to take us all the way through the end, I believe, and we'll get his insights and then what he went on to do and is still doing. I've been playing Napoleonics. I played with Judd. We had a heck of a game. Now, I've got all mine stickered. Judd actually brought over, and I don't have it, his Russian expansion for Napoleonics because he had a specific scenario he wanted to play with me, and that is where the Russians are trying to retreat in an orderly faction off the map, and the French are coming at them. And boy, was it a blast. Napoleonics is probably my least favorite, me personally, genre for military games. Now, I love the wooden ships, fighting, wooden ships, Iron Men, the Trafalgar game I have from Trafalgar Editions. So I love the wooden ship side, but I don't get as much into the army maneuver and Waterloo and Austerlitz and all of that. But not disparaging it, we had a ball, and the coolest thing about the rule set for Napoleonics is that when a block or a unit, which has 4 blocks in it generally, takes a hit, your combat dice go down as well. So you end up having to kind of, they don't have that same punch, and you tend to want to get them back behind the line. And I found out very quickly that I had an option. I thought I could move into some terrain, wooded terrain, and maybe check him a little bit from closing in on my lower right flank. And I got butchered because I didn't hold the line. I could have held the line. Instead, I stuck a couple guys out thinking, well, I'll lose them, but they'll hold them up. Oh, no. And I quickly reconfigured and just began my orderly retreat. And it came down to the last die roll. If he got me, he was going to win by taking out a unit. And if he didn't, I was going to, on my turn, I was going to be able to get my my victory, last victory unit I needed off the map, and I was going to win. And it was excellent. It was one of those games. Again, the Borg system is great, but it was one of those games. Literally, I think 2 turns before it was over, I said, "This is going to come down to the last turn." He goes, "Yeah, I think it is." And I said, "You're going to have yours, and we'll know." And if you don't, then it's mine. So, and I can't, and I was looking, and I'm like, I'm going to take a little extra time here, because if I can figure out any other way to pick up my victory point, I'll do it. And of course, the only shot I might have had was this headlong attack with some cavalry units. And I mentioned it, but I said, I'd rather I know I'll win if your next attack misses. And so I lost. but it was incumbent upon him to pull it off. And if I had not made this idiot move early and moved up into the woods that I didn't need, that did not help me at all, I think I would have had him more easily. Where is Judd? So let's see. Judd's doing good. He'd actually ended up getting COVID kind of late in the game. I want to say like, I don't even know. But he caught it, and he had to visit a hospital. A family member was in there, and he ended up catching it. And it laid him low for a while. And he'd also told me we'd been on a ham tag spree. I think he told me we had stayed with it for almost 9 months straight, and he needed a break. And I'll come into that a little bit too. Let me pour a little something. It's either a Robert Burns, which is a very good. This is actually whiskey from the Aaron Distillery. It's very good. A lot of sweet vanillas, and nice. Or we got sent a bottle for the whiskey show, Bradshaw's bourbon, and it includes his Super Bowl victories. and it's got the ABV is a little higher, 51.9% alcohol by volume, because that was his completion percentage, I believe, throughout the 4 Super Bowls that he won. If I said 3, I meant 4. And this is pretty good. It's like $40. So I know it's not the whiskey show, even though that's what I do on the other channel. But I think I'm going to pour some Robert Burns while we talk here. So the other thing that happened, one reason the show, and I do not mind when the show slows down a little bit. I'm going to let you guys know. I love actually jumping in and chatting with everybody. But some folks, sometimes I'll feel the pressure of, hey, keep up the content. But I'll go into several things on this. One, I do the show because it's fun. So I started doing some stuff with the Dice Tower and Tom Basil, had a great time. But that was one of his first tips was, if at any point, any part of this process becomes unenjoyable, including editing and filming and lining up guests, stop doing it. Because he said it will destroy your love and fun of gaming if it's not enjoyable for you to do this aspect of it. I was like, great point. Thank you. And every once in a while, it will start, I'll get pressure because life's going on, normal job's going on. A little side job I have is going on. And then I've got the whiskey shows and the shows here. And actually with COVID that I had and COVID that my Scotch buddy had, he still got lingering COVID effects. His nose isn't working right, so it was tough to taste. We were a little bit on a hiatus there. I was able to do more shows over here at the same time. But now we've picked up on that side, so it puts me in a pinch sometimes. But the show's not going away. We've also got family coming in for a couple weeks, and they're probably going to be sleeping on the couch right there. So I won't be filming while they're here for 2 weeks. And then the first week of July, 4th of July weekend, we'll be up in South Dakota, Mount Rushmore, and doing all that stuff, staying in Deadwood. So we've got vacations. So you'll see me, especially in the summertime, popping away. And it doesn't mean the show's dying or anything else. It just means that little hiatuses will happen. Duke Bourbon from Duke Spirits. All right, so that's what Magnus likes. If I gave you my favorite, so first, my favorite Euro game is easily Medici. I've probably played it 200 times. It's a Reiner Knizia game. It's bidding. It handles 3 in a perfect way, 4, 5, and full complement of 6 in a perfect way, with a little bit different feel from 6 to 4 or 5, because at 6 you have perfect information, or every thing you'll bid on will come up. Otherwise, some are pulled out blindly. Love Knizia. Favorite military board game. Boy, I still think I like B-17, which, by the way, I'll get back and film a couple more of those. The session reports, I'll get in to do that as well. Waking the Bear is close, but B-17 is just so thematic and fun and easy to jump into. Favorite whiskey, favorite bourbon is Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Favorite Scotch is probably just the Ardbeg Corey Vrecken. That'll give a round out. Let's see, can't get it over here. Have you tried it? I've not tried Duke Bourbon, but I'll look for it. I should be able to find that. I'll keep an eye out for it. When it says Duke, do they have is it more like John Wayne Duke Bourbon, or is it more like something in I don't know, is it the town of Duke where the college is? I don't even know. So, or is it just a cool name? Have you tried Duke Bourbon? No. Let's see. I really like your show. Well, thank you, Vorpal. Vorpal. It's probably the nicest thing you've said. Now you got to add in, even though you're ugly, and you look homeless. Joe, I know I say your name wrong. Sorry. Let me highlight it. Hello, Chief. Did you play Fife? Oh, yes. Quite some time ago, I played Fife. Academy Games game. It's actually sitting on my shelf over there. I must have run out of some room because I packed it in a box and we were reorganizing like our storage room. And I opened a box and all these old games were in it. And then Fife was there. I'm like, what's this doing here? This should be up on my shelf because all my Academy games sit up on a special shelf with the games that hit the table the most. All the Awakening, well, the Conflict of Heroes stuff is there. But yes, I really enjoyed that game. Let's see. John Wayne. Okay, it is based on John Wayne. Excellent. Let's see. What does Vorpal have here? I played a game called Sea Krieg. World War II naval game. Truly horrible set of rules. Not capable of handling more than 1 or 2 ships per side. Yeah, that would be interesting. So, okay. So let's see. I will get a review of this done. Not sure exactly when, but I will get a review of this done. I love the gameplay of it. And there's so much gameplay here with this system and the expansions. I may even see if I can pick up a couple of the expansions to get them in because I don't know. It's still not my era. And I try not to collect if it doesn't look like I'm going to play more. But I like the aspect of the losing of the combat power as those go down. And I didn't think I was going to as much because I love the idea that really when you're battling, usually in the Borg system, what you're dealing with is the loss of the unit more than the loss of that combat power as you go. And so you'll pull it back just so you don't lose it. Whereas here, it gets weaker and weaker as it goes. So it was interesting. And I know I read somewhere Borg's why he had that rule in here. I think it had to do with some cohesion stuff, but very cool. And then forming the box and all that goes with that, it was nice. So it was very cool. I want to play more of it, but I want to play more Samurai as well. I wanted to do that with Judd, but we'll see. We'll see. We may even play sometime and just put up a live camera. I don't know if I'll have that live or I'll just film it. I can film things privately and then make them public later. Might be what I'll do. Excuse me, just because I wouldn't be able to really engage, but I would have the camera down on the board. I think that might be fun. I don't know if Judd will be up for that or not. I will tell you as well, I am in the process of learning Here I Stand. I've lined up some folks. I've given myself about a month to play it on my own, to learn all the factions and the baseline rules. And then I'm going to have a group of folks over that have never played it. I was amazed how quickly I had lined up some folks that are usually even playing Euros. And I let them know this is like a 10-hour game. We're going to make a day of it, but they have a lot of fun when these different groups come over here, and they're going to give it a shot. But I don't know. I've been kind of looking at doing some filming segments as I learn it and some things, but I don't want that to get in the way, but I think it'll be a good thing. There's not a lot of videos out on Here I Stand, and I think it could be helpful, but we'll see. So no guarantees, but it literally is on the table, and I'm going to be playing solo all the sides so I can learn it and kind of figure out what the gist is, and then boom, you're going to be this, you're going to be this, and walking through the turns, and we're going to make a fun-filled, probably 12-hour day with breaks for food, and some folks that come over like to sample some of the whiskey that's here. Nothing crazy, just sampling, and then we'll get back to nailing the thesis in Wittenberg. But very, very cool, and there's some stories behind why I haven't got it played that I think I may go into as well. So the hint there is that my dad was a Lutheran pastor. He'd gone to Wartburg Seminary, can't say seminary apparently, in Iowa, and he had just gotten to play a few Euro games over at the house when he visited, and I'd mentioned to him, hey, there's a game on the Reformation. He was like, come on, you can't make a game on the Reformation. I said, well, GMT did. And he was like, what? You should order that. So I did, but sadly he passed away, and then the game shows up like 3 months later, and I didn't even take out a shrink for a while. So we will probably cover that in its own storyline. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how interesting I think that is. I don't cry. I don't think I'll cry on that. But you never know. All right. Oh, we got 16 people in. That's good. Oh, the old chestnut. Let's see. What do you got here? My wife is a Wartburg grad. Very cool. She grew up next to the campus in Waverly. You bet. So my dad grew up in Iowa, a little small town called Wyoming, Iowa. Has something like 400 residents. He grew up on a farm just outside of Wyoming. I don't know what that is. What is that? All right. Son is going to a birthday party. He went to Wartburg and played. He did his bachelor's there, played on the basketball team for 4 years. Was good enough that my uncle got a cold call from the coach a few years later saying, hey, your brother was great. Why don't you come play? And then oddly enough, that same coach was still there when I graduated high school. And he called me and said, do you want to try and do a walk-on? He goes, I hear you're 2 inches taller than your dad. I said, no. And I felt terrible, but I don't know. 6'6", and I didn't really enjoy basketball. It's like a crime. I have short people coming to me that love basketball, and they're angry at my waste of height. Very angry at that. I tell them that my dream was to be a horse jockey, and I grew out of it, and I'm angry too, and I want their shortness. Not really, but it lets them know the absurdity of their argument. So old chestnut. My dad, when did he graduate? I know, now who knows when, but I think 64-ish, because he did his 4 years and then 4 years of seminary as well. So that would probably be about right in that era. He's born in 41. So interesting. Yeah, the last name is Brunsheen. So good, strong German name. Let's see, 5'2" and played American football. Woo! Go, Magnus, go. So it'd be hard to tackle at 5'2", but would have been a good running back. So let's see. So that's the Here I Stand deal here. And I'll probably be playing a little bit of that later. That's actually slowed down some of my reviews. And there's a bit of a break in games coming out anyway due to the all the snafus with supply and the summers in China where they go through rolling, not blackouts, but they can't do full power all the time. And then COVID kicking back up over there. So, yep, running back and was the road runner. I like it. I like it. That's perfect. So it's funny because my younger brother is very athletic, but he really liked baseball. And one of his sons is just huge in it. They're doing that deal where he's in every league possible. They're driving all over the place, going to tournaments all over the country. And I'm like, that sounds exhausting. He's like, well, doesn't your boy Bo want to do it? I go, no, my boy wants to role play. And he used to do some Pokemon, although that was his only collectible. But he loves role playing. He mocks some of my board games, not all of them, but he likes my board games that have a role play element. So, and he actually was looking at Here I Stand. I caught him reading the box, and he was like, what is this? This sounds like a history lesson. I go, exactly. So I don't know. He might join me in that. We'll see. 10 hours is a little much for him. I don't know if he would enjoy that. Magnus played baseball as well. Very good. I hated practice. I played a lot of basketball. I was in a YMCA league, and I was okay primarily because, well, in high school I was only 6'4". I kept growing when I got out, but I was okay, but I wasn't really into it. And then I got into the Army, and when I was in medic school, the first sergeant saw me and ordered me into the basketball team. There was another guy, Private Smith, black guy, beat me out for the A squad, but I was better on defense. So whenever we were having a hard time, they would pull him out, throw me in on defense. So But that was my first, when I was in the Army, we were playing for like the battalion championship. And they packed the gym. And we were playing probably in front of 600, 700 people, packed right up to the floor. I'd never played a game with that type of audience. And oh my God, if that would happen to me when I was younger, I would have been practicing, because we started to get our butt kicked. They pulled out Smith, put me in just for some defensive and rebounding. And I managed to swat a shot out of the air. And man, the place went wild. And I thought, oh, if that would have happened to me when I was 15, I think I would have practiced to recreate that feeling. But by then I was 22. Now my elbow is out of action. Yes, I hear that happens. Let's see, what has Vorpal got here? That's enough of my my lack of sports acumen. Vorpal, I have a collectible card game called The Last Crusade. World War II, Americans versus Germans. It even includes maneuvering on a map with 9 zones. Very good game. Interesting. I may have heard of that at one point in time. I don't have a recollection of how it looks, but I feel like I've heard about that. What was this? 5-2 in Iowa, Magnus, and you'd have been a wrestler. Yes, that is correct. The Brunchean clan, if you go anywhere in the country, you may be the only Brunchean in the state unless you are in Iowa. In Iowa, the great-grandfather, Herman Brunchean, did not want to fight for the Kaiser. So when he was 12, he either paid passage on a ship or illegally got on a ship. I don't think it was illegal, though. My grandmother said, no, it wouldn't have been illegal. But he and his buddy were on at age 12. He lands at Ellis Island. There he sat while he had to make sure he didn't have any diseases. He got some inoculations. And then an Iowa German farmer needed labor. And the only way they let him off Ellis Island was if he had a paying job. That's an interesting concept, by the way. So that Iowa farmer paid his rail fare, paid some of the fees, I guess, that went toward the immigration off of Ellis Island. He then had guaranteed work. He agreed. It sounds almost like indentured servitude, but I guess he was going to live on the farm for room and board for 2 years, and that would pay back his debt. So he did that, was a great worker, worked for several more years, earned money, and then that same German farmer helped my great-grandfather buy his first farm. Then he got lucky, got married, and had 5 boys. That is what Iowa farmers need. And then those boys had a bunch of other boys. So when you go to the Wyoming, Iowa area, there are Bruncheans all over the newspaper, and it's fun. Everybody knows your name, how to pronounce it, and then they just want to know which one of the 5 boys. So, and Everett was my grandfather. So let's see. He's thinking WWF, maybe. Yep, you could have been like the angry Swede. You would have to dye your hair, though. You know, they would make you dye your hair like a yellowish color, and they would make you wear a Viking costume. You just know that would happen in the WWF. But hey, if you were making that money, you'd have to just put up with it and enjoy it. You know, there'd be horns involved and everything. Woo! Boy, we gone far afield. Hello. Let's see. Let me check a couple. Oh, or it would be called the midget. Oh, yeah. They would pair you with like another giant Swede. And he would be like 7'8", so then you would look even smaller. You know that's what they would do. It would be exactly that. You'd be like the Sven brothers or something. I like this. Now I want to see this. I want to see this happen. That's what I want to see. AJ 3000, Ellis Island could be a good worker placement game. That's interesting. I'll give you an interesting other thing. So on the whiskey side, there's a buddy of ours, Roy. His show is Aqua Vitae. Roy Duff lives in Glasgow, Scotland. He's a Glaswegian. And a great show. He helped us out when we went and met our European fans and did a tasting and did all kinds of stuff over in Scotland after we had done some stuff over in Ireland. And he got a hold of me and said, hey, this guy here, David, I can't remember his last name off the top of my head, Burke maybe, had reached out to him saying, hey, I've got a board game coming out called Distillery. And it's all about distilling different types of alcohol, everything from whiskey, aged spirit and oak, to brandies, so that would be cognac, Armagnac, to white lightning, which is just moonshine. But you are doing what looks like some worker placement and deciding what kind of distillery. The whole idea is that your great uncle died and willed you this distillery, and you need to try to make it profitable. So what are you going to do? So you can do some gin, which will get you money early, but the aged spirit gets you a lot more money later. But boy, do you have to sock it away before it makes you any money, like 12 years worth. So it looks cool. They said they're going to go to Kickstarter sometime this year, but they would get me a preview copy, but that will be in 2022. So, but I look forward to that because that is both worlds coming together, both shows coming together. The old chestnut, not WWF, real wrestling, 5'2" as average height for the lower weights. Yes, real wrestling. I bet you Vorpal did that naked Greco-Roman wrestling. That's the naked wrestling, Roman times. That's if you're really hardcore old chestnut. Not this onesie stuff. Not the unitard. You got to go Greco. Full Greco. That's what Vorpal's into. Seeing if Vorpal's still on here. That will get a Vorpal response if he's still on here. The Angry Midget Swede. Magnus, I would never title you these things, but that is hilarious, and I love it. I love it. You and I, Chief, that would be true. That would be true. I would be the American German that would play the giant Swede. You know, it's just playing the character. I actually met the guy that used to be the Russian. I think they called him the Russian Bear. I met him at a Special Olympics gig, and I didn't believe it. I was like, I thought he was a nut. And then he started showing me pictures, and I was like, oh, I feel bad. I never followed fake wrestling. Whoops. In the 80s. Papers, Please, Ellis Island edition. Yeah, okay. It is interesting, the hoops you had to jump through there. AJ, game sounds cool. A twist on viticulture. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking as well. And an interesting fact, I mean, Waterford was a distillery in Ireland that flew my co-host and I out. And then we filmed throughout the Waterford system for a week and put several shows together. But they are, I mean, man, they have to have millions and millions to do what they're doing. They in Waterford, they bought the old Guinness distillery and then started producing 40 different farms, keep their grain separate, and it's all Irish grain. We actually got to go to a farm. Seamus Duggan owned the farm, and we went and met with Seamus and hung out, and that was a blast. And then we filmed. We actually got to mix several different years of Seamus's spirit from his grain and make our own little blended whiskey. That was a fun. That was my most fun part of being in Ireland. Around 1978, there was a role-playing style game called Wrestling. Yeah, it was. I have it. It's from Avalon Hill, and it's called Wrestling, I think. And it was fun. It was like tongue-in-cheek, and I've played it a couple times, but it's been a while. Hopefully that is the name because it's Wrestling. I'm sure there were others too. Nikita Kulov. That could be it. He showed me these pictures where he had the giant Russian hat, and then he wore a red onesie with the hammer and sickle on it, but he was actually from like Jersey. He wasn't Russian at all. That may be him. I would have to look. Yeah, what fake? Still super athletic. When those guys get up and jump off the top rope there, that would kill me. Vorpal, but what I remember is the villain wrestler always open with a kick to the nuts. Yep. And they shook it off after like a minute. And then people are like, that was real. I'm like, let me kick you in the nuts. You'll know real quick. Do you have a favorite bourbon? Yes. That's the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I call it the bottle of wow. It comes out 3 times a year. They do 3 different batches. It's high proof. They don't water it down. And boy, is it just velvety mouthfeel, beautiful, like liquid brown sugars. It's bourbon sweeter. Very nice, very nice. A little expensive now. You used to be able to get it for about $50. Now it's gone for $70. And some places they hide it and charge you $100, which it's not really worth $100. Yeah, he was an American. Yeah, it's got to be this guy. I met him. People were coming up and getting his autograph. And I said, "Who are you, man?" And then he told me. I'm more of a Scotch fella, but I like Woodford. Yeah, Woodford's very good. I'm more of a Scotch guy as well. I kind of lean toward the Scotches. And I'm a peat head, which means I love the barley that's been smoked with peat moss, particularly from Islay. You get these weird flavors that I hated when I first started drinking Scotch, but now I love and seek out. You get flavors like burnt railroad tie, or black tar licorice, or creosote, or burnt driftwood next to the sea. These are some of the things that I explain when I try some of that stuff. Let's see. Woodford Reserve. Oh, yeah, I knew that was a typo. You're good. Tastes like an ashtray. Some of them do taste like an ashtray. But then what you'll start to pick up is these beautiful finishes. And like Ardbeg in particular, I've never smoked. Well, I tried smoking once or twice, I think, but I've never been a smoker. But you get these like tobacco leaf flavors that are just, they're so good. But it's not like, some of them are even ashtray, but it's not like smoking. I don't know. It's weird. Someday we'll send you a Brazilian bourbon. Ooh, called Cacao. Hard to spell. Yeah, hard for me to say, brother. Now, I got to tell you, technically, to be called bourbon, it's got to be distilled in the United States. Just saying. But it is whiskey, it sounds like, if it's aged, if it's a distilled spirit aged in a barrel, and it comes from a grain, not from it's brandy if it comes from a grape. But now we get into too much detail. We're at 43 minutes. Let's see. Let me see if I can show. I'm going to have to pull it up so you guys can, as I'm looking through this, by all means, talk among yourselves. But I believe, Jimmy Stewart, Ron sent me a little thing on the National Museum. I'll have to look at that later, Ron. Let me see if I can open this up. And yeah, I think I can share this. Yeah, should be able to share this fine. Let me come back to StreamYard. Because, and I can't remember who, but when I did the joy of gaming, some people, I don't know, they don't seem to get the joy as much. Maybe other reviewers, maybe not. Who knows? I don't know them personally, but I get tons of joy from it, and it's very social for me. Again, I love my solo games as well, but my son Seth, who's my youngest son, has Down syndrome. He came down and was kind of like, "Hey, can I come on the show?" So he came on the show, and a lot of you guys were there, and we're like, "Hey, Seth," and he loved that. And so he may do that again at some point in time, and I'll definitely allow and encourage it. Hold on, what is this? Is kind of a bourbon. I think I covered that. It's probably not legally a bourbon, but back on this. So I asked any of the fans or the viewers if they wanted to send pictures. I would share those pictures. And I then didn't get to that. And I might even have misplaced one of the emails. But I think I got them all. And I wanted to get them on the show. So I've emailed them to myself. And I'm going to screen share this real quick. And so that we can look at this. And I think, is this it? If I may have hit the wrong one. No, there we go. So these came in, and I can't remember. I need to figure out a better way of doing this. This was, I believe, what was called Graycon, maybe? Yes. So Graycon, and if I zoom in, I can't quite see what the town was or what the name was there. But this was at Graycon. Oh, I don't know what I just did. Wow, hello, making everybody crazy. So can I get that to quit zooming? Sorry. So we got some giant dice there. But I wanted to show the joy that's going on and that everybody has. Looks like they got a card, like a Wings of War card maybe. And I can't tell if that's what they're playing or not. I've played that a long, long time ago, but I think that's what that is, looking at the playing cards down on the table. So it looks like World War I dogfighting to me. So that was very cool. Then we've got some folks playing Fife right here. So this is, you can see Fife right over here. And everybody's having a great time. I just love this. There's some food at the table. My wife usually does not allow food at our table. But so that's Fife, the Academy Games game. And we've got, oh yeah, Kingsburg. So this is a game of Kingsburg that's going on. Love Kingsburg, but for some reason it's a dice. You roll your dice and then you're pledging them in wherever you can. And I used to love this dice placement game, and then it just kind of fell away. I played it once, and it felt clunky. That's probably my fault, not the game's fault. But it seemed like it didn't age well. Crokinole. Love this. I have my own Crokinole board. And I stink at it. But some people can flick like nobody's business. I bet your Vorpal's a good flicker. And I believe this is the one photo I got from someone else. And so I may have all the photos on there, but if you sent, excuse me, if you sent me photos or you want to send me photos, should be back on me now, I will display them and it'll be in the vein of the joy of gaming. And whenever I do a Chiefs vlog on the joy of gaming, I'll feature those and I'll get better at saving them and giving credit to those folks that send those. Let's see. What is this? GaryCon. Okay, I couldn't read it. And here I thought GrayCon. GaryCon. All right, Lake Geneva. What is GaryCon? Somebody fill me in. I don't know. Let's see. The wrestling RPG was played at Gen Con. Let me pull this up from Lead Magnet. Evidently, the players were quite rowdy, breaking chairs, tables, etc. Other RPG groups asked the convention to never put them next to that group again. I don't remember a wrestling RPG game, but that's hilarious. Vorpal says he will never return to Gen Con. I've never actually gone to Gen Con. Uva was wanting me to go, and he even said he would, if I showed up and shook some hands at his booth, he could get me one of his. I think he was even going to pay for I would have to pay my hotel, but I could do some meet and greet from his booth, but I couldn't get it to work out. I hear Gen Con's crazy. I like the fact that it's a little bit of everything. I got a coworker, Sergeant Story, loves RPGs, and he went to Gen Con in 2019 and had a blast. Vorpal's pissed off from 2015 when they decided to be political and jump in on, okay, Wedding and the Baker. I don't know anything about it, but I do agree it should be gaming, not political. So I returned my tickets and burned my D&D books. Wow, you shouldn't have burned them. You already paid for them. My dad used to make that noise all the time. So he won't ever go back. The only time I had a weird thing with a con, well, not the only, but one of the ones that caught me off guard was there was some thing, somebody got, I don't know what happened, but and apparently something happened either at Gen Con or Origins. I've been to Origins like that. And then BGG put out a thing saying that they were going to make sure that everybody felt safe at the BGG con. I'm like, well, who doesn't feel safe at a BGG con? I mean, I've never seen it. I mean, not saying something bad couldn't happen, but I thought, okay. And then it was, I don't know, it just had like safe space kind of language. And I thought, boy, is that weird. And then I heard there was some kind of RPG thing where people got upset because some of the RPGs that were being played had an adult theme to them and they weren't warned about it or something. And that's a whole nother thing. I would just say, I mean, I've played some RPGs and I like them, but if they're going to go down an adult theme, you just got to let everybody know. And then if I was doing an adult themed RPG, I wouldn't play with anybody under the age of 18. So at least probably. So, but I mean, and it would still have to be combat related. I don't know, but I mean, that could mean that there's a lot of blood and gore and whatever, but so who knows? All I ever asked is if I offend someone, they let me know so that I don't continue to offend. Except for Vorpal. Vorpal's offended by my scraggly beard, and I love to offend Vorpal. So Vorpal, I will continue to offend you with my scraggly beardness, my homelessness. Let's see, what is this? There's no fighting in the war room. Exactly. That's kind of, I was like, come on. But that's all right. I'm in a pretty rough field. And the guys will give, and gals will give each other a hard time, and we see rough things. And so there's dark humor. And I mean, we just experience all kinds of things. And humor is one of the best ways to deal with it. And sometimes the humor can get a little bit too dark. And every once in a while, someone will go, that's a little dark. And then, not usually me, but they'll have to dial it back. But we see dark things. When you see evil, it can be a little shocking. So simulated rape is part of the quest. Yeah, I believe that's what was going on at Gen Con or something. And it does. Some people got, upset by that. And okay, I would just say, hey, this is going too far. I'm bailing out of this quest or whatever. If you guys are going down that road or gals, okay, but I would just remove myself. I don't usually say, hey, you all must stop. I just be like, whoop, check him out. Kill my character right now. Adult themed solitaire. I've seen some cards of that nature. Apparently they were big in like World War II and Vietnam. Let's see. What do we have? Old Chestnut here. Visiting brothels in a LARP is much more awkward than in a table RPG. I would think, LARPing might be a little tough there. I have a funny police LARPing story. So this, I think it was an elderly woman based by the description of the call called 911. This is about 7 years ago. And she told dispatch, there are about 10 to 15 white males in a sword and axe fight down at the park near the river. And she said they are attacking each other, and it looks like some kind of medieval battle. Now, one of the officers, who actually is in my game group that comes over, he said, that sounds like LARPing. And I was like, oh, you're going to get it from the guys when we get back in squad, because most people did not even know what LARPing was. I put myself on the call as well. And I went there, and because she did describe that somebody had just been hit in the head with a spiked bat, but they seemed okay. So she thought the dementia is really kicking in, or the apocalypse has begun. And I went down there, and they were like, hey, did you get a call on us? I'm like, yeah, I did. And they're like, we're LARPing. I said, yeah, I can tell. And they're like, well, it's not illegal. I said, no, it's not. It's not illegal at all. You are just playing. But an older lady got scared. And then I think I called her back and tried to explain LARPing. Didn't work. So I said, it's like theater. It's like theater in the park. She kind of got that. Shakespeare in the Park, Hamlet, she kind of got it. If you read the book of the quote, Book of Vile Darkness, a D7D rule book, you will find rules on cannibalism, pedophilia, and necrophilia. Yeah. All right. Like I said, probably not the role-playing game I would jump into, but I've been in a mini role-playing game where heads were severed, so I can't say the games I played were RPG or were PG, but there was a lot of blood and killing going on. So, but hey, to each their own. D&D. Yeah, I should have known, not D7D, but sorry. That's where he draws the line. It's a good line draw. Good line draw. So I know 4chan, it's like everything goes except child pornography. That's a good rule. That's a very good rule. So let's see. What do we got here? AJ3000. Yes, also a police officer. Ah, awesome. Have to be careful when I joke normally. Yeah, you do. I'll be at like one of my wife's gatherings or something. And, you know, I don't hide what I do. I'm a sergeant with the police department, but they'll want stories. So I've got my like safe, crazy, funny stories. My best one, I always tell people, hey, I can tell you this, you never want to fight with a naked guy. And then I got a story, because the story is me. I'll give you that one real quick. So we get a call of a big, muscular, sweaty, naked guy slowing up traffic at a major intersection, like a lighted intersection. I'm thinking, okay, that sounds interesting. Not too far away. And I get there, he's still there, buck naked, sweaty, hot day, yelling at cars and slapping them as they go by. And people are honking at me and pointing at him. Oh yeah, I see him. And what they're thinking is, why aren't you going and grabbing that guy? And my response is, you never want to fight with a naked guy. I'm going to wait for a crowd. And then I'm going to hope that he is very compliant, because he's screaming that his skin's on fire. Hello, we're having an acid trip or something, or bad meth. And the last thing you ever want as a cop is your buddy showing up while you are fighting a naked guy by yourself, because they're slippery. That's all I'm saying. You find yourself in very bad spots quickly, and the buddies will laugh before they help. Then they'll help. Then they will tell the stories for years and years about how you got mounted. Joke around, normals. Man, bad typing today. Yeah, I'm with you. You're good. So yeah, you never want to fight with a naked guy. It was just so funny though. Like, citizens are honking and pointing. I'm like, yeah, I'm looking right at him. But they're like, why aren't you jumping into action? You know, he's naked. Arrest him. Not yet. We're going to get a bunch of people here, and then we're going to talk to him. Hey man, why don't you come out of traffic? And he yells, my skin's on fire. That sounds terrible. I got a bottle of water over here. Do you want it? I'll even spritz some on you. Put the fire out. But I'm not grabbing you. Not yet. So, matter of fact, you're having a medical condition. Although you're breaking the law, you're not really in your right mind. So, maybe like B-17 or ambush, but set in a brothel. That would be an ambush. Whew. Gosh, I could make the jokes there, but see, that's how things go astray. Things go astray. Lead magnet. Any experiences with sovereign citizens? Only a few. My problem is I don't understand all the lingo. Like, I found out cops are called road pirates. I had no idea. Road pirates because we drive on the road, pull people over, and give them tickets, which means they lose their money. So we're road pirates. But I know some of the signs, and I'm cautious because they are very much into defending their right not to be seized, which means stopped. So, but my general deal is, if I'm prepared and ready, I don't mind if they are too, but we can be peaceable, and you'll get your ticket, and then you can go argue with the judge about sovereignty. So, yeah, but I am a big rights person. Here's what I find out. Anybody that's really studied history and enjoys history, which I do, I like reading about it, studying it, playing it, gaming it. Government is a way bigger threat than the lone individual. I always say lone individuals killed by the ones, twos, maybe tens, maybe above, maybe into the teens. All right. Government's killed by the millions. And I'll tell my guys, because they'll get frustrated. Hey, we know that guy's dealing drugs, but I couldn't get a warrant. And I'm like, well, then we don't get a warrant. We're in this for the 30-year long haul. That guy will mess up sooner or later. We'll get a legal warrant. We'll serve it, and we'll get him with his drugs. But if we suddenly need I'm getting way into the legal side, but if the government's got to have checks on it, and I'm not talking political, I'm talking the guys with guns have to have checks on them. So that's me. And the checks got to be that you do not have ultimate authority, because that ultimately corrupts. So Stalin, how many millions were killed in gulags? I'm literally reading the Gulag Archipelago now. I can't read it in like one whole sit. I'll read like 100 pages, and then I got to put it down and go read something more pleasurable, like Jimmy Stewart getting PTSD in a B-24, because the Gulag Archipelago is horrible. And, the psychologist that wrote the book, I'm blanking on his name, where he was in the concentration camp. He's Jewish. I read his book, phenomenal book. Talks about the soul of humans and why it's so important. And I wish I could remember the name. Someone will put it in there. Let's see. We need to go back to fighting naked guys. What do we got here? Any experienced sovereign citizens? That's that. Shakespeare in the Park. Yeah, I thought you would like that. Nice. I had an idea of doing Shakespeare in the Garden, scenes from Shakey's play in my mother's garden at the time. Audience brings their own chairs. That would be awesome. Shakespeare in the Park. She got that. She got that. If I would have tried to explain LARPing, she wouldn't have got that. Vorpal, naked guy means he is overheating, and probably because of drugs. No, it wasn't probably. And yes, he was overheating. He was sweating sheets of sweat and yelling that his skin was on fire, which is why he had to get rid of the clothes. No idea where those were. I don't know why the cars made him mad per se, but they were. And yes, it was, we think this individual had probably smoked a blunt, which is weed, that had been dipped in formaldehyde, which is called wet. Go figure that one out. So if you want to smoke a joint of marijuana, which is really wrapped in cigar paper, called a blunt, then you dip it in formaldehyde, it might make you go temporarily insane. No clues that might happen. Hello. But yeah, his skin was on fire. And that's part of the danger too. The heart was racing. I mean, it was through the roof. He's dehydrated. You don't want to get in a fight with this person, because that's when we get into the positional asphyxiation or hysteria. The heart races out of control. Their oxygen can't keep up with it. Heart stops, they die. So we got the medics to show up. You take your time. But yeah, the drivers of traffic, they're like, why aren't you getting this naked dude out of the intersection? There's reasons, and speed is not one of them. We're not in a hurry. And he did come over to get a drink. And then they're even more confused, because they're driving by seeing a butt naked dude sweating sheets of sweat, drinking the water next to a bunch of cops. And they're like, that's a weird sight. That's almost like Shakespeare in a Park. Have you ever been to sea or the road? What? Arg, have you ever been to sea or the road? I don't know what that means. I worked on a cruise ship right out of high school, so I spent a good amount of time on the sea. Turns out I don't get seasick very easily when others do. But one good storm can change that, so I won't brag. Let's see. History major. Sweet. Nice. Wow. Sophia, you in Tokyo. That's very impressive, Magnus. Very nice. Sean Torno, police officer myself. Couldn't agree more about governments and naked guys. Exactly. You know what I'm amazed by? You get a lot of engineers into military wargaming. You get a lot of educators from what I've noticed, and you get a lot of cops. Not a ton, but you'd be surprised about the amount of cops that actually are into military history, wargaming, history in general. There's a study in that somewhere. I won't do it, but I don't know. Always interesting. Very cool. Yes, Sean, you know what I'm talking about. And again, Sean, you know you never win a fight with a naked guy. Your buddies will show up and laugh. As long as you're not in immediate danger, being mounted by a slippery dude that's naked, not immediate danger, humorous danger. And you clearly aren't too bright if you went one-on-one with a naked guy. So short of them doing something super dangerous where you have to take immediate action. Otherwise, hey, I got some water over here in an air-conditioned car. I won't cuff you. I'll let you drink the water in a cool car, and we'll get to fire off your skin. AJ 3000 Bloodlands by Snyder's saddest history book, Stalin and Hitler crushing Central Europe. Yes. The Gulag Archipelago, he had a great line in there, Solzhenitsyn, about trading the big mustache for the little mustache, meaning Stalin was killing his people, and then the small mustache came in and killed Russian people, and had a talk about kind of, why these people were considered traitors when they were being mistreated already. It's a very good book. If you haven't read it, it's what Jordan Peterson describes it as I've got this edited version, but it's like a 1,000-page scream is what it is, and it does kind of feel that way. Viktor Frankl, yes, that is exactly it. But okay, so that's the author. Now I'm blanking on the name of his book. Well, maybe it's down in here a little bit later. What is this? Night by Ellie White or something. Okay. Whoop. Something moved here. Here we go. A Czech exchange student went to a frat party. Hold on. I got to pre-read this before I read it out loud, Vorpal. I don't know where you're going. Okay. Walked down the street, tried to get into another frat party, but they wouldn't let him in. Or him in. They said, sorry, we don't accept two-party checks. Read your joke. Sounded more like Frankel's, yes, Man's Search for Meaning. Bingo. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's exactly it. So thank you. Is it Vexed? Vexed Fee? Sorry. You are 100% right. Great book. I will reread it. Touching. And I think he's spot on with the power of the human spirit. Road Pirates. Yep. Sovereign Citizens. I'm a road pirate. That sounds like a good song. Yes, I think Search for Meaning is right. It is. Thank you again, Vexed. Yes, we see tragedy and brutality at the micro level and then go read about it at the macro level. Yeah. Yep. You are 100% correct. Let's see. I'm at an hour 9. I think this is probably a good spot to stop. The book talk is phenomenal. I love, you guys know I love the whole part of gaming, especially wargaming, is playing within the history. There's nothing I like better than playing a game and then go reading a book and then going back to the game and going, holy moly, Borg's scenario on this one, that's exactly X, whatever. That's the joy. Here I stand. I'm looking forward to learning a lot about the Reformation. I've got such a surface knowledge, and I know that's just going to touch it. But when you're in it now, now I'll go read this side of it or that side of it. That is what I, love about playing in history. Nice to have all the LEOs on. We are obviously open for everybody, but it's funny. LEOs are funny. I'm a very open board gamer, and I will double down. So we had a lieutenant who was like Mr. Cool, He'd been on probably 5 years before me, but we were both officers at the same time. But he was the type of officer that will remind you that when he was in high school, meanwhile, I didn't go to high school with this guy, that he was the quarterback and that his wife was the lead cheerleader. And I'm like, dude, you're 30. Why are we talking about high school? He's like, what'd you do? I was kind of a nerd. I was too tall and I stood out. It was embarrassing. And then he gets stunned because this guy's always preserving his image of himself, if that tells you anything. But on one occasion, I think we're even working like most of the work had been done on the shooting, but we're up like in a bullpen and like a shooting had gone on or something, and hours had gone by. And somebody must have told him I was an avid board gamer, which he thought was hilarious. And he had like a couple guys that were his posse. And they came over, but I was holding court telling my own funny stories. And he wandered over and said, I heard something about you. And everybody got quiet. I'm like, what? He's like, I heard you like board games. And the lackeys kind of chuckled. I'm like, you heard wrong. And he got all kind of, what? And I'm like, I don't like board games. I love them. I said, I get the counters out. I'll rub them on my face, my shoulder. Everybody started laughing. And one thing he does not like is if people are laughing and it might be at him. So he bailed. He's like, you're weird. And then he left. I was like, and then everybody laughed even harder. That was the last time he brought up board games. He's a good cop. He does good work, but ego. Hello, ego. Let's see. There's my cop story. So you never want to fight with a naked guy. And I will double down on my love of board games. So, double down. So let's see what else we got here real quick, and then I'll let you guys go. Miniature games are the best. I like the diorama. Nope, they're not the best, Vorpal. They're like 5th. Good for you, says AJ. Yeah, it was fun times. He still looks at me funny, but he's always nervous because I'll best him, and they'll be laughing at him. He does not like that. Nos vemos. Tango que irme. I don't know what that is. My wife could tell you. Funny story. Thank you, Magnus. Love board games. Yes. I'll ensconce myself in chits. I think I might have said that, which of course sounds like I might have said ensconce myself with chits. He had to go look up chits real quick. He's like, what is that? What is that? So you got to make sure I'm not just like my own, laughing at my own stories. They're like, did he say ensconce himself with no chits? All right. That is definitely my swan song. The fat lady has sung. It's time for me to go. Bonding with board games. You guys have fun. Didn't think I'd be telling some police stories, but now you did. Now I did. You got them. See you guys later. Hitting the button. Bye.